I'm 28 male, getting married in September to my amazing fiancée Lauren, 27 female. I was an only child. My folks seemed to have a good relationship from my perspective. But as I got older, I saw that they weren't in love. My dad was a loving person, but my mom didn't treat him well in my opinion. She showed him literally zero affection, and she blamed my dad for everything. So as I got older, I grew closer to my dad because of this. In college, my parents showed up to my school to inform me they were divorcing. I wasn't shocked, but was shocked to find out that my dad cheated. I was very upset with him and we didn't talk for a while. Eventually, I reached back out and we discussed what happened. He apologized, but expressed he was done being treated poorly and wanted a divorce years earlier, but was afraid that my mom would take him to court for custody and didn't want to risk losing me. So he stuck with it. I asked him if he ever cheated before the time my mom found out, and he said no. My dad said he was dating, but if I didn't approve, then he would stop. I told him I wanted to see him happy. I eventually met his girlfriend and called her out on being with a married man. We discussed what happened and she took full responsibility. She's been my stepmom over 6 years, and we have a great relationship. She treats me great. I've tried getting my mom to date, but all she wants to do is badmouth my dad and his now wife. I have to always have 2 separate events for everything, which is understanding. But for our wedding, this wasn't feasible. Well, my uncle hosted a party at his bar to celebrate when we got engaged. It was great, till my mom walked up to my stepmom and called her a homewrecker, caused a huge fight with my dad playing peacekeeper, and it became the focus of the night. I once again talked to my mom, saying, "Okay, that was your one free jab. If you can't behave and be there for me and Lauren, then don't show up." I was clear that if anything else happened, then she would be out of the wedding. My stepmom reached out after and apologized. She wanted to make it up to us. She rented this nice winery for a combined wedding shower. The shower was going good until I noticed my dad's wife crying to her sister and my dad. I asked what happened, and her sister told me that my mom called my stepmom a melodramatic C-word who won't ever be a real mom. My stepmom can't have kids of her own. I immediately confronted my mom, and she didn't deny it. So I told her to leave and told her the next day she wasn't invited to the wedding because my stepmom was important to me as well, and crap talking, causing drama was inappropriate. My mom freaked out, but I told her that I warned her twice. Lauren thinks I'm being harsh because my mom has things she is going through. I said that it's been 8 years. She treated my dad like crap when they were married, and our wedding isn't the place for this. My dad has been the bigger person through this whole thing and wants me to consider all options. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. The risk, inviting your mom to the wedding, is that she makes it about herself, causing a scene and/or making your dad and stepmom miserable with her comments. Yes, the a-hole. It's easy to be the bigger person when you're the one who cheated. You do not get to forgive your dad and stepmom on behalf of your mom. You also don't get to decide your mom is to blame for the relationship not working. It takes 2, and you never really know what happened between your mom and dad, except for the fact that he cheated. You don't have to invite your mom, but be honest, you clearly don't like your mom much and don't want her there. Not the a-hole. Your mom has already tainted 2 events related to your wedding with her inappropriate behavior. She doesn't deserve the opportunity to ruin the 3rd and most important event. I've been with my husband for 5 years, married for 1. His 24-year-old daughter is constantly asking for money, hundreds of dollars each time. We both have good jobs, but we also have a large mortgage. We also don't waste our money. His daughter only ever contacts him when she wants money. She doesn't even offer to meet for lunch or coffee, just to catch up. His ex is very bitter about the divorce, even though she instigated it. She's gotten even more nasty now that we're married. She even told their daughter that I was the other woman, even though they were divorced when I met him. Last week, the daughter called asking for money. She says her shifts got cut back because of virus. There's always an excuse, and I don't believe her, but he says she wouldn't lie. He called her to discuss it, and she said she just wants some extra money for the week because she needs entertainment money. She always puts him on speaker, and his ex is yelling at him, telling him he's a terrible father, and saying we have a nice house and we have regular holidays, which we save for, and they deserve some of that money. I was angry, and we had a loud disagreement about it. He agreed that she needed to grow up and that he wouldn't give her any money. Today, I found out that 2 days later he transferred $90 to her. I'm livid, and he doesn't understand why. We have separate bank accounts and have agreed on the bills we each pay. This made him unable to pay his agreed bills, which meant I had to. He's angry that I don't like his daughter. Am I the a-hole for being angry at her continual leeching, or do I just accept that we will be subsidizing her life until we die? Edit. He admitted today that over the last 3 years, he's given her $10K. I was unaware and not consulted. Not the a-hole. Your stepdaughter needs to find a new job and stop asking your husband for money. It's not healthy that the ex is on the phone talking crap and trying to guilt him into giving his daughter money as well. She's 24. She's an adult, and she's old enough to take care of herself. Not the a-hole. You are partners, even if you have separate accounts. You pool your money for bills and vacations. It does affect you when he keeps giving money to his daughter. He lied about it too. It would be one thing if she was grateful and they had a good relationship, but it sounds like she's using him for money and that her mom is egging her on. I get that you are annoyed by that. He is your husband, and you don't want anyone to take advantage of him, even if it is his daughter. Not the a-hole. He defaulted on his responsibilities to you, meaning you had to pay for him. That is unsustainable, disrespectful, and wrong. If the bill's in his name and it won't affect your credit rating, tell him that next time you won't give him the money to pay the bill. It's his problem, and you'll be talking to a divorce lawyer. I hope you got a prenup. My sister and her boyfriend both recently lost their jobs due to virus and are unable to pay their rent. They have asked me to let them move into my house for a while, at reduced rent, since their college and friends are all in the city. While I do have a lot of space in my house and it would not be a problem for me, I've told them no, because when my husband and I were struggling a couple years back with our baby and stressful jobs, she absolutely refused to help us out with babysitting, even when she had free time at home. She said it wasn't her responsibility to help parent our children, but now she's been making a huge fuss on Facebook about us not helping her out when we can. We don't think she deserves any of our help, since she didn't help us in the past, but my parents are saying I should forgive her and let her move in. Am I the a-hole here? Edit. Yes, they can stay at my parents' place, but their argument is that it is a 3-hour drive from their classes. The kind of help I asked from my sister was babysitting for a couple hours 2 or 3 times a week if I had a work event come up. We were starting a business at the time and struggling to pay bills, so we couldn't afford a babysitter. Our good friends ended up helping us out, which is how we made it through that tough patch, and are successful now. Edit. Some of you made a very valid point about my sister and her boyfriend not being a good influence on my children. A big part of her personality is being child-free and hating children. Both my kids are being homeschooled right now, and I don't want their bad energy around my kids and their teacher while they're learning. Sister is a failure who is studying a stupid degree at a low-rate college. She is always trying to find ways to leech off me and my husband's success now, even offering to nanny our children for cash, far more than she would ever make at her crappy server job. The way you put it, it sounds like you expected a teenager to do extended babysitting for free, and then equating it to rent-paying housemates. If you're charging them rent, then they're not there for free. God, OP is such a huge a-hole with each of their successive edits. Calling a 21-year-old sibling a loser, judging their degree and place of study so harshly is just plain trashy. OP, you seem like not a nice person generally, this specific argument aside. Yes, the a-hole, especially considering the age gap. You can't have a kid assuming that your family, especially teenage siblings, will step up and be built-in free babysitters. Possibly going homeless from losing your job, versus not being able to pawn your kid off to get a break from a child you chose to have and care for, are not comparable in my opinion. I've been with my girl for 2 years. Having children. We had always said maybe in a few years down the road, once we have our careers established, a decent home, savings, etc. This was always the plan. The past 2 years she has been on the pill and we've never had an issue. During Christmas, she apparently was horrendous at taking them because we had S once. Fast forward to now, and she's 6 weeks pregnant. I've spoken to her logically the past 2 weeks. I told her my opinion and my thoughts, which are, take the pill, get the A, and we will try again in a year or two. When I'm done with my career training, we've saved up money, put down on a house, etc. Financially stable, and at that point we can have a kid or two. She can stay at home to raise them, etc. And everything can be taken care of. Instead, she tells me tonight she's decided she's for sure keeping it because she's wanted one forever. She's 31, not 16, and she should be able to handle it. She talked to her liberal as duck mother, who of course told her, oh yeah, just keep it. Who's paying for it? You? No. That's what I thought. Great advice. Now her plan is to not renew our lease, move into my parents' house with 2 cats, her, and now a child on the way in my late 20s, her early 30s, so I can bust my butt while she sits at home with a child and leech off my parents. Can you say loser? She seems to think this won't be that expensive. It's not the end of your life. You can still finish training and get your career. I still have a year if I didn't work and busted my butt day in and out 100% on training, let alone working full-time to support this, taking care of a child and schooling and training. She's living in a dream world and can kiss all of that goodbye. I think she's in for the biggest wake-up call of her life. She has no money saved, both basically living paycheck to paycheck, but yep, let's have a kid so it can grow up in a crappier childhood than my parents gave me. I have zero interest at all in having this child right now. In fact, I think it's the most selfish and childish thing to do at all right now. A baby before finances? Insane. Literally waiting 1 to 2 more years would make everything so much easier it's not even funny. Instead, I guess we'll piss it all away, keep working minimum wage jobs, and dig ourselves even deeper in the hole. What a smart choice. We can barely even afford to pay rent and support ourselves, let alone another life. She's acting like she literally has to keep it. She said during this if she got rid of it, we'd break up too because she would resent me forever. At this point, I do not care. I'm down to be single. Ducking do it. Biggest mistake of my ducking life. Yes, the a-hole. You're definitely right that she is in for a wake-up call. However, if she's set on having the child, she's probably going to have it. To push her into an A when you've both already had that conversation before would be wrong. You've spoken about it logically, and she's decided to keep it. You don't have to agree with her decision, but your attitude towards that decision and your insistence at wanting a termination once she's decided she's keeping it is almost disgusting. It's her body, and if she's keeping it, then let her. You don't have to do anything beyond the legal minimum child support if you don't want to. If you're not mature enough to handle whatever she decides here, you shouldn't have been having S in the first place. Pregnancy is always a risk, now a reality, so handle it like an adult and respect her decision. Yes, the a-hole, not because you don't want the kid, but because of that rant. You clearly aren't taking any responsibility and have no consideration for her feelings. If you don't want kids yet, that's fair enough, but you can't make that decision for someone else. It's not as simple as trying again in a few years. There's no guarantee she'll be able to get pregnant again. Honestly, I think you should just break up with her now. It's clearly not going to work out. You'll resent having the kid around and making sacrifices. So better she knows what she's getting into now. You sound like you're panicking completely. Living with your parents doesn't make you a loser, for a start. Tiny babies really don't cost very much, especially if they're being breastfed. There's actually nothing stopping you from finishing your training. Her mom can help look after the baby, and she can continue with her own work if you're living with your parents. This doesn't actually derail your plans at all. You sound really angry and upset that this has happened, and it's throwing you for a bit of a loop. Most of your anger seems to be directed at the idea that you think it makes you a loser to have to move back in with your parents for a year or so. Frankly, this sounds like a very sensible idea to me. If we can't depend on our families to help us when we need help, then what is the point of having a family? If your girlfriend wants to keep this baby, then at this point, there's really not very much that you can do about it. You will have to help pay for the baby whether you choose to stay with her or not. If you just face up to what is happening in your life and deal with it, you will find that things will be much easier for you, rather than wasting your energy raging about something that isn't going to change. I get that you're pissed off about this. Me, 29 male, and my sister, 30 female, had a falling out when she had a long ongoing relationship with my girlfriend back when we were in high school 12 years ago. My ex-girlfriend was in the closet and said she had a long-time crush on my sister and was using me to try and get close to her. My sister had been out to my father. Our mom died years ago in a car accident, who was doing his best to be supportive to her but was struggling. I would like to mention my dad always had an issue with cheating in a relationship and had told me that if I ever cheated on my girlfriend at the time, he would disown me. Now, one day I did walk in on my sister and my girlfriend going at it and was heartbroken. They tried to explain to me that they were sorry about what happened, and my sister seemed remorseful, but said the two of them had strong feelings for each other. But I didn't want to hear it, and I just left after breaking up with my girlfriend, mostly since I just wanted the last word. Now, at dinner, my father could see I was upset and asked me, and given how upset I was, I just blurted out what happened. He was beyond pissed at my sister and yelled at her for breaking my trust and trying to justify it. My sister tried to defend herself by pointing out how hard it is to find any girls willing to date her, given how conservative our area is. However, he wouldn't hear it and kept shouting at her. When she graduated high school, she left the house, and I later learned she was disowned. My sister believed that he disowned her because she was gay and was just using the situation to have an excuse for himself. She stated she wanted nothing to do with him either. She did still stay with my ex, and their relationship did go further, and my ex supported her through the whole thing. They even got engaged last year. Now, cut to the present. My father recently died due to some complications with cancer. My sister didn't bother to go to his funeral, and I hadn't spoken to her in years. I had heard from one of my aunts she was struggling financially. Now, when it came time to read the will, my father left most of the money to me, with a very small amount for my sister so she wouldn't contest the will. I want to mention, the amount he left me, it's in the low 8 digits. My sister was furious when she found out, and then found out I wasn't going to share it with her. She said it was unfair since our father was being homophobic, and I was supporting it. She accused me of having a grudge over what happened in high school, and I can't deny I was a bit upset about that. It left me feeling distrustful of any future partners and hesitant to even try being in a relationship for years. My aunt pointed out that if I kept this grudge, then I would lose any possible relationship with my sister. To which I snapped back and insinuated she would just try to steal any future girlfriend I get, which I do sort of regret. I just want to hear from all of you. Am I the a-hole? She didn't bother to repair the relationship even though he was sick and dying, and now wants his money? I'm sorry, but I would stick to your dad's wishes, not the a-hole. She deliberately betrayed you and destroyed her relationship with you. Did some impressively twisted mental gymnastics to somehow be the victim for having to bear responsibility for her crappy actions. Went either no or low contact with your dad and called him homophobic for calling out her crap, and still think she should get anything? Nope. It's not a grudge if she never apologized for blowing up and then blowing off your family. There is no part of her actions that's defensible, and she literally only came back for money. I loathe people who play the victim card like that. You just hate me because I'm minority. No, I hate you because you're a crappy person who only thinks about themselves.